I love proteas. All of them. Leucadendron, leucospermum. They are a wonder in our world. But there's one protea that stands above them all, and that is mimetes. There are 13 varieties in existence. Unfortunately, they are not available in the United States, as they are extremely hard to propagate. I've taken it upon myself to order seeds from South Africa, mimetes coculatus, and now I'm on a journey to grow the most beautiful plant in the world. Failure is not an option. Well, my seeds came from South Africa. They came through the US mail, and they're here. Pretty exciting. So to give you an idea of how to germinate these seeds from my research is there's 3 steps. First step, soak the seeds for 30 minutes in 122 degree water. The reason for this step is to try and kill any fungus on the seed. The second step is to soak the seeds for 24 hours in 1% hydrogen peroxide, and that is supposed to help break down the outer coat. Our stores sell 3% hydrogen peroxide. So to make it 1%, you need to add, you're going to have to dilute it 2 to 1. So that's what I'm planning on doing. The third step is to soak it in smoke solution. Interesting fact about these seeds or these plants is they need a fire to germinate. And there's something in the smoke of the fire that helps these seeds germinate. And they figured out what it is, and they sell it in a smoke solution. So you soak the seeds in this solution and it helps it germinate. The fourth step is to put a little bit of some sort of antifungal powder on the outer coat of the seeds before you start to germinate them. So that's the fourth step. So we're going to start the first step here shortly, which is soaking it in for 30 minutes in 122 degree water. Before I do that, I want to show you what the seeds look like. I'm going to take them out of the pouch, put some on here, and we'll zoom in a little bit. Here's a close-up of the seeds. They're very cool looking. They have a very unusual color to them. Here is a pen, so you can get an idea of how small they are. I just got the water temperature to 122 degrees or 50 degrees Celsius. So we're pouring the water in. And we're going to let that sit for 30 minutes. Now to mix the hydrogen peroxide. Our hydrogen peroxide in the United States is 3%, and the instructions call for 1%. So the plan is to go ahead and dilute this. I'm going to add 1 cup of hydrogen peroxide. Then we're going to add 2 cups of water. 1, 2. So now that gives us a 1% solution of hydrogen peroxide. The seeds have now been in the hydrogen peroxide solution for 24 hours. I'm going to go ahead and drain the hydrogen peroxide out and then proceed with the next step, which is the Super Smoke Plus. Let me show you what that looks like. It came with my seeds. We're going to soak it in this for 24 hours. So again, Cape Seed Primer. I'm going to go ahead and put this disc in the bottom of this container like that. And we're going to go ahead and put the seeds in. And then it says to add 50 mLs of water, which we'll do right now. That's it. So we'll let that sit for 24 hours. I did read on the internet that one person let his sit for a whole week in the smoke primer. But I guess I'll just stick with the 24 hours. The seeds have been in the smoke solution for 24 hours, so it's time to move to the next step. So after reading, it seems like you're supposed to put a fungicide on the seeds lightly before you plant. So I've decided to use Captan, which seems to be a fairly safe fungicide, and I'm going to just put a little bit on the seeds. In terms of planting, I'll show you what some of the options are going to be. I wanted to share with you how these seeds changed after the hydrogen peroxide. Before the hydrogen peroxide, they looked like the seeds on the left. And then after the hydrogen peroxide, the outer coating came off and you could see the actual seed. When I put it into smoke solution, once I got it in there, I noticed that that coat was falling off, so I went ahead and removed all the coats. So there's a few options of how to germinate these seeds. You could just put it in the soil and hope it germinates, but I decided to try to pre-germinate them, then put them in the soil. And I've been experimenting with different methods, and this is one method where you germinate it in a cup with a towel in there. And you can see I did this about 10 days ago, and these plants are all growing pretty well. So this is one method here, is to put the seed on the edge of the cup, keep it moist, which I'll be doing here. The other method is to put some perlite in this bag, seal it, put a little bit of water in and put the seed in there and germinate it there. Another option is to put the seed on top of this dirt, moisten the dirt, put the seed on top, and put a towel on top and wet that and seal it. And then the last option would be to, instead of using the perlite in the bag, to use a paper towel. So not sure which one's the best method. I'm going to use all of them. I put the protea seeds in a container with the Captan and mixed it up a little bit, took the seeds out, and then there was too much Captan on them, so I put a towel on them and kind of took most of it off. But as you can see, the ones on the left have a little bit on them, and the ones on the right, I'm not going to put any Captan because I'm not sure if this Captan could inhibit germination. But so I'm going to try it both ways. Alrighty, I've planted all the seeds. As you can see, I have them in the cups. This is with the Captan, and which is the fungicide, and this has no fungicide. I have 4 seeds in each cup. Then I have some seeds in here, which is the perlite. Again, I have a seed with Captan and one without Captan. And then the last option is I have a seed right there without fungicide, and these 2 here have fungicide. And what we're going to do is lay a towel over it and then wet it down. And this will be another method to see if it works. Put that towel right on top, like that. And then go ahead and wet it down. That's it. I ended up putting the smoke solution that was left over in this spray bottle, so that whenever I give them water, I'm going to be using this. So as you know, these seeds can take anywhere between 3 weeks and 3 months to germinate, and they have to be cool at night and warm in the day. And the variation in temperature, from what I've read, is optimally somewhere between 45 and 50 in the evening, and somewhere around 60 to 70 in the morning. So the plan is to put these in the refrigerator at night, and then under lights in the daytime. Let's pray that I get at least 1 plant. Hello, I just wanted to do a quick little update for you. It's been a few days since the last video. I am putting these in the refrigerator at night, and I want to let you know the temperature. I made it as warm as I could get it in there. It's about 45 degrees. And I was going to put these under lights during the daytime, but it's too warm. So I'm currently just putting them on the kitchen countertop, as you see here. Also, I didn't share with you that I'm also going to plant some seeds directly in planting mix, and I'm using this as a container. And as you can see here, they're all planted right here. If they sprout in here, then the plan would be to take them out of here and put them in a bigger planting container. I've previously told you about this Captan that I dusted the seeds with, and what I've done is made a solution of Captan, which is right here, and I followed the instructions. So I have some liquid that I can occasionally spray in the cups or the planters to prevent fungus. And then I found another chemical that's very potent. It's called Physan 20. And I bought some of this, I bought these both on the internet. I mixed a solution of Physan 20, so I can also use this occasionally to mix it up in terms of preventing fungus. So that's about it for now. We're going to go ahead and start making the planting mix for the plants. I'm going to be using this as my container for the ratios, and using this I did 2 parts of peat moss, 2 parts of concrete sand, and 1 part of perlite. And if you look at this perlite, you'll see there's perlite on the top and pumice on the bottom. So I did a mixture of half and half in here because the pumice is a little bit a bigger rock than the perlite. I've mixed everything up and it's ready for putting in the pots. Sand, peat moss, perlite. This is your standard 3 or 4 inch pot you get at the nursery, and this is called a tree pot. It's very long because it can deal with a long taproot. Proteas have a long taproot just like trees. That's how they deal with drought conditions. This pot is 3 by 3 by 8 inches tall. I also bought this container, which is really handy to hold the pots. And I bought everything at a place called Stew & Sons. It was very cheap, maybe 20 cents a pot. Forgot to mention that these pots have a big hole in the bottom. And what I did is I just cut out some burlap, put it in there to plug the hole. Okay, so they're all filled with the planting mix, and the next step is we're going to put boiling water over these to try to sterilize and kill any fungus and bacteria. I have boiling water in this teapot, and I've been saturating this planting mix with this boiling water over and over and over until I feel like I've done it enough times. It also helps the peat moss get saturated with water, so it's not going to float. So it makes it easier to deal with the planting mix. The hot water seems to work better than cold. Anyways, the goal of this is to kill the fungus and bacteria in here. Besides trying to germinate a mimetes, I decided to have some fun and try to germinate some other protea seeds. This is a Protea magnifica, and it just started to germinate today. It's been in the refrigerator for 20 days. And from what I read, it needs a cold snap to germinate, so I just had it in the refrigerator in a little container with a little bit of water in there, just sitting on a paper towel, a wet paper towel, and I looked today and noticed that two of the 10 seeds are germinating. So the plan now is to go ahead and put them into dirt and see if they will grow. This is the actual container I had in the refrigerator. I put it in there September 3rd, and then today's September 23rd. Exactly 20 days later, I noticed the 2 sprouts. And it's pretty funny that I read in a book that it takes 20 days in a refrigerator in cold temperature below 50. But I thought I would have to bring it out of the refrigerator after 20 days and put it in a pot and some water to get it to germinate. I guess having some water in the bottom of this little container was enough to get it to start to germinate. Next step is let's see if I can grow a plant from this seed. Well, it's been about 4.5 weeks since I've started this project. Today is October 1st, and I've got 2 seeds that just started germinating. Unfortunately, they're not mimetes, they're another variety of protea. It's still a good thing, but mimetes still has not germinated. This is called a leucospermum guinzi, or cliff fountain pincushion. Anyways, 2 seeds that just started germinating, so I'm going to put them in soil today and see if I can get them to grow in soil. Well, some great news here. I put a leucospermum guinzi that had sprouted in a container I had into dirt. And I think that was on October 1st. And today it's just sprouting. It's just coming up. And today is October 5th, I think. So this is the first sprout of any protea plant that I've ever done from seed. So I have it in these long containers I'll show you in a little bit. And I have it under light at a constant temperature now that it's sprouted, not putting it in the refrigerator anymore. Well, I'll give you an update once it gets a little bigger. This is one method I've been using to germinate the protea seeds. I've been putting them in this cup with a paper towel in there. The paper towel is wet and the seeds on the edge of the cup, and then I can see it germinate because you can see through the cup. So I'm going to go ahead and take this seed out now and put it in the dirt. Here's a close-up of the seed that is now germinating. Again, this is leucospermum guenzi. It's been in this cup for about a month now. Here are 3 leucospermums that are doing pretty well. I have a leucospermum catharine and also leucospermum guenzi. These are now growing and doing well in these containers under the light. This is a close-up of leucospermum catharine. It's been about 6 weeks. I germinated it in a cup, and then from the cup I moved it into the soil once I saw a root, and it's doing very well. Once there are a couple leaves, I will move the plant outside. Well, big news. It's been 42 days since I started this project. My main goal was to grow a mimetes from seed, although I am trying some of the other plants, some other leucospermums, leucadendrons, and some other proteas. The mimetes is my main goal. And I believe this seed right here is just cracking open and sending out a root today. I noticed it a few hours ago. Today is October 12th, and it's been 42 days since I started this project. Let's get a little closer and take a look at the seed. If you look closely, you'll see a small crack in the seed, and that's where the root is coming out. I really hope this seed makes it. It's the first one of maybe 40 seeds that I planted or are trying to germinate using different techniques. This is the first one. Today's October 27th, and I finally germinated and sprouted a mimetes plant. Yay! It's been 2 months since I started this project. This seed was germinated in a cup, and once the shell cracked, I put it into the dirt, and it was in the dirt about a week ago, and last night I could see it popping through the dirt. So finally, after 2 months, I've got a mimetes growing. This is one of maybe 30 or 40 seeds that I've been trying to germinate, and so far this is the only one that's come through. It's currently under fluorescent light, and hopefully it will grow to be a big, beautiful plant. I will give you updates in the future. Oh, today's October 31st, Halloween. 2 more mimetes seeds germinated. It's been 9 weeks since I started this project. One was in a cup, and the other was between 2 paper towels. I'm going to go ahead and put these in the dirt, in a pot, and hopefully I'll get 2 more plants. So today's November 1st. This is the first mimetes that I have germinated. This is an updated video. It's now been growing for 5 days, and the shell that was on the tip took a good 3 days before it fell off. But now it's free to spread its wings, and it's doing very well. This is day 5 of its growth. It did take about 7 days. Once it was germinated, I put it in the dirt, and it took 7 days before it popped out. I'm going to go ahead and show you some of the other mimetes because I have a total of 4 now that have germinated. This is the second mimetes I germinated. It popped up 4 days ago. This is the third mimetes I germinated. It came up 3 days ago. This is the fourth mimetes I've germinated, and it came up yesterday. So I have a total of 4, and they were all germinated in cups, not dirt. Here are some other proteas I'm growing. This is Protea magnifica. This is Leucadendron tinctum, which is supposed to have a beautiful smell to it. This is Leucospermum guenzi. This is Protea punctata. This is a short update to show how I plant the seeds once they've germinated. This is a Leucospermum guenzi. It's been in this bag for 6 weeks. Just perlite and water in the seed. And I noticed today that it finally germinated. So we're going to go ahead and take the seed out. I'm going to take it out of the bag with these calipers right here. I'm going to lay the seed there. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in a little bit so you can see the seed is right here. I don't know if you can see the root is just coming out. So what we're going to do is just make a little hole. And you can see the root coming out of the seed. We're just going to pop it in this hole. Okay, I need to make it just a tad deeper. Take it back out. That'll be just right. Put it back in the hole here. There with the root pointing downward. And then we're just going to go ahead and cover it up with some little bit of the mixture. And that's it. We're all done. And the last step is just go ahead and zoom out a little bit here. Go ahead and just spray it. This is how we water it so we don't disturb anything. And what I've been doing is just watering it every other day. Every other day, and they pretty much, if they've broken out and formed a root, they've all sprouted. I wanted to show you where I grow the proteas once they've germinated. As I stated earlier, I put the germinated seeds into the soil, into these pots, and the pots go under the light. And usually about a week later, the plant pops through the soil. This is a 4-bulb fluorescent light, and doesn't give off much heat, doing very well. Then over here I have a second growing area, which is a metal halide lamp. I use it for my orchids, so I have a second set of plants over here. I'm running out of room to grow these proteas, so I have a third growing area that I modified. It basically 2 fluorescent lamps with the proteas underneath. This is leucospermum Catherine. I've actually moved this plant outside to a growing area, but I brought it in to show you how well it's doing. It's probably the most advanced of all the plants that I'm growing, and it seems to be growing the fastest. It's the middle of the winter here, and I'm trying to grow these baby proteas and mimetes. So I built this stand. I bought the actual metal frame at Home Depot, put some plexiglass on top, and then made a wooden frame in the middle to put the plants. And the idea is that plexiglass will protect the plants from the elements, the wind, the rain, and then if it's cold I can actually put a sheet around this thing to keep it warm. I've got some of the plants out here now, and I'm keeping some in the house. Obviously the goal is to move all the plants outside at some point, but I'm slowly moving them out here because it's still winter. The temperature in the daytime probably around 55 to 60, in the evenings generally around 38 to 40, but last week we went down to 28 degrees, in which case I had to put the sheet around it. We're going to go ahead and get a little closer. Here's a close-up of the growing area. I have 2 mimetes out here. I'm going to be moving some more out here soon. I have a couple leucospermums out here. This is a leucadendron tinctum. So what I did to keep it warmer is I have a heating pad on the bottom. It's made for germinating plants, and that's on the bottom. And then I have some Christmas lights around the edge. And basically the heating pad and Christmas lights come on at midnight and stay on till morning. Here's the frost blanket I bought, and it's working pretty well. I generally leave it on during the day and night on 2 sides. So at night it'll keep it a little warmer. And then if it's going to be freezing, then I close it up, and let me show you what that looks like. And here it is completely closed. I do this if it's going to be freezing. Proteas can handle some mild frost, but since these plants are so young, I'm being extra cautious. Today is November 15th, and this is a quick update. I've been doing this study now for 11 weeks. This is the first mimetes that I was able to grow. It's now 19 days old and it looks very healthy. Of interest though, I've noticed they're much slower growing than the leucospermums. In terms of seeds, I started with 34 seeds that I put into cups, sand in a bag, or perlite in a bag. And of the 34 seeds, so far I have 12 that are now growing. That is just outstanding. I've got a 35% germination rate. Brown, in an article that he wrote, stated he only got a 4% germination rate. Of interest, the seeds that I directly put into the planting mix, I've got 0 germination from. Today is December 9th, and I'm 3.5 months into the protea project. This right here is the first mimetes that I germinated. I call it Alpha, as it's number 1, and it's now 6 weeks old. This plant is growing extremely well under the lights indoors. It's thriving, and all the mimetes are actually growing very well in the house. In fact, I would say this plant is fairly easy to grow once you germinate it. I have some leucospermums and some proteas that are growing also, and some of them aren't doing quite as well as the mimetes. And in fact, I've found that some of them do better outside. Once you get a few leaves, you just put them outside, and they seem to be doing better outside here in the winter. But this mimetes grows great under the lights indoors. So in terms of how many I have now, I actually have 17 plants, which is amazing. I started with 34 seeds, so that's a 50% germination rate. So I'm kind of blown away. I have so many mimetes that I'm not sure what I'm going to do with all of them, because 17 is quite a few. And again, germination was found to be highest using the cup method. And I will say this plant is just gorgeous. It's just a beautiful plant. When I look at it, I can't believe it. The little red color on the tips of the leaves. It's a very magnificent plant. Hello, I thought I'd give you a tour of some of my mimetes plants that I'm growing. This is number 13, 13th plant that I grew. And there's number 14 right next to it. There's the first one, which I named Alpha. And there's a few more. The rest of the 17 plants are now growing in different spots in my house under lights. And then I put a few of them outside in a protected area. It is winter here and fairly cold outside, but not freezing. So I'm going to grow them in different areas and see how they do. Well, after 3 months of trying to grow proteas, leucospermums, leucadendrons, mimetes, what I've learned is that this cup is the most superior method for germination. I've tried perlite in a bag, sand in a bag, this cup, planting it directly in soil, and this cup was by far the most superior method, and I got the highest germination rates. I'm going to go ahead and show you actually how you do it. You take a paper towel like this, fold it in half, go ahead and roll it like this, and then put it in the cup, unfold it into the cup, and we're basically trying to get the towel to touch the, there we go, perfect. See how it's touching the walls? So that came out perfect. The next step is to moisten it, and you just take some water and moisten the towel. And this water here is actually smoke water. I took a fabric, put the fabric over a fire, smoked, ran into the fabric, and then I put the fabric in this water. And then we take some more paper towels, roll it into a ball, get it moist, and we stick it in here. It applies pressure to push the paper towel against the wall and also keeps it moist. And we stick 2 of them in there and we're set now. This thing is ready for seeds. So you just put the seed between the towel and the plastic wall. And I've been using something like this to pick the seed up and pull the fabric down, and I just stick it in there. And when it's germinated, I just grab it, take it out, and put it in the soil. That's it. Hello, today is December 16th. I planted seeds in this planting mix in late August, early September, and until now I hadn't had one seed germinate, but I did get a seed to germinate a few days ago, a leucospermum catharine. None of the mimetes have germinated, and it's been probably about 3 months since that leucospermum catharine did germinate. Let's get a little closer. Here's a close-up of the leucospermum catharine. It took 3 months for it to germinate in the soil. It took about 6 weeks to germinate in the cup. And I have 3 or 4 plants growing now from the cup method, where just basically this one growing here. I am going to continue to water this tray, and I hope some more seeds will germinate, and maybe I'll get a few mimetes from here. We'll see. Merry Christmas. Today's December 25th. I've moved some of the plants outside to do an update video for you. This will be the last update of this video. I started this project August 31st. I was able to grow my first mimetes 2 months later. Leucospermums I was able to grow in about 6 weeks. As I mentioned previously, using the cup method was the most successful at germination. Let's go ahead and move a little closer and take a look at these plants. So this group of plants here were grown outside after they got a few leaves. The temperatures outside are obviously much cooler than in the house, and the sun isn't rising as high, so they're really not getting a ton of light. This is Leucospermum guenzi, Leucospermum catharine. Here's a mimetes. This is number 3 mimetes. Leucospermum tinctum. It's growing very well outside. Protea magnifica and Protea punctata. I just wanted to correct myself. This is a leucadendron tinctum, not a Leucospermum tinctum. This is the first mimetes I was able to grow, number 1, alpha plant, doing very, very well. This is number 5 and 6 plants, and these are growing under a metal halide lamp, where this is growing under a fluorescent lamp. And these are actually starting to catch up to this plant. This is Leucospermum catharine. It's doing very well under a fluorescent lamp. And this is number 17, the last mimetes I was able to germinate. And I'm going to turn it a little bit. You can see it's just getting going. And hopefully in a couple months it'll look like this one. I want to end Christmas Day with a close-up of mimetes number 1. It's growing very, very well under this fluorescent light, and it's a very happy plant. It has this beautiful red color on its leaf tips. I'm hoping to move it and the rest of the plants outside in maybe a month, and I'm looking forward to seeing them all grow. Hopefully I'll have some flowers soon to share with you.